Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform into the person you want to become. Today, I have the privilege of talking with Kelly Duffy Ph.D. Kelly is a Wisconsin native who decided to trade in her snow shovel for sunscreen about a year ago when she moved here to Arizona. She's a wonderful mother to 3 energetic boys who keep life busy, fun, and hilarious. Kelly received her PhD in Physiological Genomics in 2007 and spent several years as a research professor studying rare vascular diseases in children. Specifically, she worked with physician partners to find if they could develop more effective and less invasive ways to treat the vascular malformations. Unfortunately, about 5 years ago, she became seriously ill. Kelly was eventually diagnosed with a rare disease of her own, causing her to quit her job so she could stay home and deal with her mounting health issues. Over those 5 years, she has struggled just to do that. Hundreds upon hundreds of doctor's appointments, treatments, pills, and a battle just to stay alive until she found something that changed her life and put her on the path to finally healing her body. Kelly is now healthier and happier than she has ever been and would not have changed this journey for anything in the world because it has led to this place, which is exactly where she was meant to be. Kelly has no doubt that her background, combined with the battle to overcome the seemingly insurmountable health issues for those 5 years, has been the broken road that led her to where she is today. This unforeseen path has allowed her the ability to share with us the knowledge of self-healing and an improved quality of life. Without further ado, please enjoy this amazing interview with Kelly. Kelly, welcome to the Social Chameleon Show.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you. You got an interesting story. I'm really to kind of just dig down in you. I mean, it's always interesting when you get these really awesome messages on LinkedIn, and yours is one of those. I was just like, wait a second, we got to talk about this. I can't let this one slip by. So you have a PhD in physiological genomics. Did you always want to be like a scientist or a doctor?
No.
No. That's a lot of work to just be like, yeah, that sounds fun.
I had no idea what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And then as I got older, I kind of just, you get into college and you get kind of wishy-washy, like, oh, maybe I'll do this. I knew I wanted to be something in the sciences.
Okay.
I was always really drawn to math and science. Mm-hmm. I was terrible at writing. So I knew I was definitely not going to be in the English side of things.
Right. I suck at writing. I should do English lit. Let's go.
I couldn't put words together in a sentence.
Right.
Just kidding. I can't write a sentence.
Right.
But, I was always really good at math and science. And so that's kind of where I just naturally gravitated
towards that way.
Yeah. And so, I toyed with, the veterinarian, zoology, that kind of stuff. And then, I don't know, as I went, I considered pre-med, but I was never really committed.
Right.
And so when I graduated, I graduated with a bachelor's in medical microbiology and immunology. So, but I didn't really love it. It was a good major, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to commit my life to bacteria and viruses, which will come full circle, ironically.
It just comes all right back around to it.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, I know the ending of this story.
But, so I decided to take, to work for a couple years and then figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I got a job at, I went to school at UW-Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison. The Badgers. And so I moved back to Milwaukee, which is where I grew up, and got a job at the medical school there in a research lab where I was a research assistant. And so I got really exposed to what a research lab did and had an amazing boss who really taught me what research was all about and inspired me and convinced me that grad school was a real possibility. And I think part of the reason I probably never considered it was kind of a self-confidence issue. like getting a PhD is kind of like a really big thing. And one of those things that I never thought I could really do. And so she really instilled in me some the confidence, that I really could do it. And so I applied and I got into the physiology program and that ended up getting a PhD in physiological genomics.
What a great teacher. We just really need more of those type of teachers, just to bring something out of you maybe you didn't even realize you had there, and that confidence to just go for it. I mean, getting a PhD, I couldn't even imagine. I had never do that much college, but I can't imagine what it's like I know I have several friends getting their PhDs, and that's a lot of work. I mean, it's not something to play around with and joke around with. And
no, it was a long, hard road. That is for sure. But yeah, she's an amazing, amazing person. And I will always feel indebted to her for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you got that PhD and you went on to do different research, and you got into rare vascular children's diseases.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What sparked that interest? It's like a really interesting path you've kind of gone down. Why did you get into that?
Yeah. So the focus of my work while I was doing my PhD, my thesis work was actually, so it was genomics. So a form of, kind of looking at gene expression patterns in humans. Right. And so the type, sorry, my lighting is weird. So I was looking at certain patient populations, and I actually looked at two different kinds of patients. So my thesis was kind of broken up into two different pieces. I was looking at kids that had Down syndrome and developed a certain type of leukemia, and then ended up looking at, so that was kind of the first half. And then the second half, I ended up looking at kids that had some vascular abnormalities. Okay. And so I was looking at, so that's kind of how the only reason that happened is because I was working with a physician in the children's hospital there. And so he had this interesting genetic question that he wanted answered. And so as a grad student, you kind of, you work with people who want to work with you because that's right. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so I ended up working with him and teaming up, and he had patients, and I loved the translational aspect of research. I loved being the person that could work with the patient and then also in the lab, because I wanted to see that what we were doing in the lab actually had a clinical application. I didn't want to be somebody who worked in the lab and just sat there, with my little pipette and my little petri dishes, and that's all I did all day. And I never got to see, the end result and who I was impacting. I wanted to know the people and the problem, and I wanted to see that what I was doing was really making a difference. And so I loved that translational part of it. And so that's kind of how I got into the vascular anomaly side of things.
So if I understand this correctly, so what you were doing was, I guess you guys would have a hypothesis, go see the patients, test that, come back and report. And that kind of really,
so we kind of started
on one-on-one kind of thing.
Yeah. We kind of started with a clinical question. So it would be a patient problem. Okay. And then they would come, we would kind of work with them on that. So they would have a clinical question. We would say, okay, well, what does that look like from a genetic standpoint? Can we find out something on our end that might then go back and be able to have a clinical application? So can we take a blood, they have this issue. Can we take a blood sample, figure something out from a genetic standpoint, and then go back and somehow make, a difference on the clinical side, whether that's, some kind of clinical intervention, if there's some sort of treatment we can develop or some sort of, something like that.
Okay. Makes sense. So, and then your story goes on to I'm going to give you a little brief thing you wrote when we chat on LinkedIn, so you went from, giving your personal transformation I've been through over the past 5 years with life-threatening health crisis. I never thought I'd be alive to tell my story, to be honest, and here you are. Take us back 5 years ago. What did you start to notice? What was starting to happen? Like it seemed like you were doing all this great stuff, and all of a sudden you got sick.
So I was working clinically, and so I became a professor and had my own research lab, and I was doing work, and I was to be honest, I was under a lot of stress. I had just had my third child, my third boy. And, I was working a ton and trying to super mom it and, do it all.
Yep.
And then one day I woke up with this eye infection, which is totally weird. And I thought I had pink eye because I had three little boys, and two of them were in daycare, and they're
Kids are messy.
They're little petri dishes. And so I was like, wow, pink eye really hurts, And I remember asking all my friends, like, do you guys ever have pink eye? Like, is it supposed to hurt this bad? And they're just like, no. Like, you weirdo. And I was like, oh man. And, a couple of days later, I couldn't open my eye without excruciating pain.
Wow.
And I remember going to the doctor, and she was like, sweetie, that's not pink eye. Like, you need to go to the eye care clinic.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble now. And it ended up being this really, really bad case of something called anterior uveitis. And I had never heard of it. So like, okay, just give me something, make this stop, So they gave me some steroid drops, and it got a little bit better. And then a couple of days later, it came back with a vengeance. And I was, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. It was so bad. And so then they put me on oral steroids. And so it got, my eye pain got better, but I started having this excruciating pain over my temple, like over the next couple weeks to months.
Yeah.
And then I started getting really, really sick. Like, the worst flu you can possibly imagine. And it started coming in cycles where I'd get so sick for about a week where I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. My entire body would just shut down. And then I would get better for a week or so. And then it would happen again. And in the meantime, I'm having this, just the pain that will just drop me to my knees.
Wow.
At just a moment's notice, and just over the side of my head. And I couldn't, it was unbearable. And then I started getting all these random infections, these random viral infections that, most adults don't get, things that, everything the kids would come home with, stuff I was vaccinated against, but my vaccines weren't working, just really crazy stuff. And so, I'm going to doctor after doctor, and nobody can figure out what's going on. And, that went on for a year and a half. And I'm still trying to work full time. And it was pretty terrible for that whole year and a half. And I had gone to Mayo Clinic twice, gone to all doctors in the whole region, and no diagnosis until I think it was Labor Day, like a year and a half later, and after that first eye infection. And I suddenly lost peripheral vision in my left eye.
Oh, that's scary.
And it was pretty scary. And I went to my ophthalmologist, and she sent me right to a neuro-ophthalmologist, and he was the first one that really sat and listened. And I think he sat with us for about 2.5 hours, and he's the one that finally ordered the spinal tap that finally diagnosed me with a super rare form of something called chronic viral meningitis.
Wow.
I had spent the previous year and a half having repeat bouts of viral meningitis over and over and over again. And so by that point, I was so sick and had such neuroinflammation that I was dying. I was just out of it. I had no immune system. My inflammation was out of control. I was so sick at that point, and the spinal tap had triggered just a terrible infection. So I was in the hospital then for a while, and then home with a PICC line for a long time, and then I was way too sick to go to work. So I ended up having to quit my job. And I spent the last, because then even with a diagnosis, most doctors hadn't heard of it because there's so few cases. So, so it was great to have a diagnosis, but at the same time, didn't really get me anywhere, you know?
Yeah. I mean, finally, after a year and a half, at least you knew what was happening.
Yeah.
That had to be some kind of relief.
It was definitely a relief, in knowing, but it just kind of, it led to, it was still frustrating.
Yeah.
Just, we just kind of went from doctor to doctor again, trying to get people to try to help figure out what the plan was. And, so the last 5 years have pretty much been bouncing around, trying to get the right treatment, which unfortunately has been a lot of just symptom management. And, so there wasn't much.
There's no cure for that type of meningitis, or?
No, not the chronic form.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't.
It always lives in your body. It constantly comes and goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So unless you can get, so by that point I had been so far gone, without any treatment, and, that, I had, my immune system was just not working. So I was picking up everything. And so it didn't, any sort of cold, anything like that I was, it immediately triggered a response. So I was, it was just repeat meningitis over and over again. And then, like I said, my inflammation levels it was so high that I was pretty much just a walking zombie.
Yeah, I bet like you're saying, the brain fog, I can't imagine what you just felt like, just constantly being inflamed and in pain and sick after sick. And as soon as you feel better, you're sick again. That's just got to be excruciating, frustrating. And I can't imagine what it like to emotionally to, be a mom and you can't be there for your kids and stay away from mommy. I can't get sick and you can't, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, that was really, really hard, especially because my youngest was so little. And, a lot of times I feel like I missed so much of his life, because he just turned 7, and I'm just, healthy within this last year. So I feel like I missed a good 5 years, the first 5 years of his life. And, so that's kind of a really hard thing to come to terms with.
How did your kids deal with it? I mean, literally, it seemed like you were on the brink of death and battling just to stay alive. How did they deal with it?
They were so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's pretty incredible. I think, as adults, we take it so much harder, especially, as a mom, the guilt factor is just, it's taken me a long time it's still there. I'm still dealing with it, but I've gotten much, much better. It was really hard at the time because I wasn't emotionally there yet.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the energy to kind of, to emotionally deal with it. So it was really, really difficult those times, to have to say, Mommy can't play with you right now. And, Mom, come play with us in the backyard. And how many times I would try and I couldn't. And, Mom doesn't feel good. Mom can't do this. Mom can't do that, and to hear them say it back to you, or to hear them say it from the other room, like, Mom can't, she's sick, or, Mom can't do this, or to hear, especially my oldest who, grasped it the most. It wasn't so much for the younger ones, but my oldest, who would get upset because we'd have to leave somewhere because I wasn't feeling good, and to have him, have that burden on him, that still gets me. That part of it is still really hard, but, he's so happy now that I'm healthy. So it's great to see him kind of embrace that, and he loves when we go play sports, and we'll play basketball and soccer and football and all that stuff. So he loves that now. So
that's thank you for sharing that. That's very touching, and it just goes to show not only how resilient children are, how resilient we can be, how tough and the things we can deal with. That's amazing. So, from knowing a little bit about your story, it's been about just coming up on a year now where you've really kind of got this under control and starting to manage it. what did you find out? What was the catalyst that turned this around for you? How did you start to feel better more often than not?
Yeah. So it was about 8 months ago.
Okay.
So I'll take it back a little bit. So
Sure.
about 3 years ago, no, it was about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I got really frustrated. I mean, I was frustrated the whole time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I bet.
But just because of the whole symptom management aspect
Mm-hmm.
of treatment. But it was about 2 years ago where I really kind of felt like I was in, fight or flight mode. Like I need to do something different or I'm not going to make it, because the meds are not working. I'm on all these anti-seizure meds for my nerve because I developed some permanent nerve damage, and the only thing that happens is when it gets worse and I get sick, they just up my meds, and then I get crazy. I mean, real zombie, like where I can't even drive and I can't do this, and I've got kids to take care of, and I've got, and I can't function like that. Right. Not to mention what it's doing to my body, which, and so I can't do this anymore. I need to do something different. And I know it sounds terrible, but it went against my entire scientific understanding. Yeah. But I knew I needed to try something different. And so I looked to all things holistic and natural. And the reason I say it sounds terrible is because I didn't understand how it worked. And so I had always shied away from it. And it's only because I never took the time to try to understand it. And, looking back, I'm like, I was an idiot, and I just needed to get over my own ego, because, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I said, I don't care how it works. I'm desperate and I will try anything I can. And so I started trying everything. I went to see an old friend of mine from high school who was doing acupuncture, who is now one of my best friends in the entire world. So
awesome.
And she also started doing biofeedback on me for my nerves.
Okay.
And she started helping me with some Chinese. My whole bathroom counter was covered. I mean, honestly, the whole thing covered in Chinese herbal medicine. My whole day revolved around it. It was ridiculous. I was doing craniosacral massage. You name it. I was trying it. And some of it worked and some of it didn't. And, but it wasn't ever like the thing, it wasn't giving me that whole comprehensive approach that I really felt like I needed to start my true healing. Until about 8 months ago, when my friend Melissa, who was the one doing the acupuncture and biofeedback, she had some other clients come to her and say, they had tried these new products, or these products from this new company that had just started. So at the time, it was only a couple months old, and they worked in this novel way through something called the gut-brain axis, and they had really good results. And she's like, you know what? We should try this. And I say we because she's been battling Lyme's disease for like 10 years. And she hadn't really found anything that really had that effect either. And so I'm like, me, I will try anything once. Like, if it doesn't work, at least I tried it. Yeah. And, and if it works, hallelujah. Yeah. And so we tried it together, and, and then we'd call each other. How do you feel? How do you feel? And I, I noticed within the first week I was feeling, a little bit more energized. But I was like, maybe it's just a placebo. Who knows? We'll see.
Hey, placebo's good for me.
Right? Yeah. I was like, I'm not complaining, but who knows if it'll last, whatever. And I gave it a couple more weeks. And by the end of the fourth week, I knew that I had started healing. And I remember talking to her and just saying, I don't know what's happening to my body, but I need to understand this because this is insane. And I honestly, I was speechless. I didn't even know what to say, because I felt better after 4 weeks than I had in the last 5 years, like since before I was sick. And it was the most it was the craziest. I still have trouble finding the words to explain the difference that I felt. And it's
when
something.
Did you first start to notice that was starting to come back, or
I started, besides just like the energy factor, I didn't want to lay down. Not that I didn't even want to, I didn't need to lay down at 1:30 every day before the kids got home, just so I had the energy to get through the night or to get through that, the evening.
Yeah.
I wasn't a crab ass all the time. Honestly, I
don't blame you. I've never been close to death, but I could imagine what you were going through.
Yeah. I didn't even realize how bad I felt until I felt better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my pain level started going down, and so I started feeling better, but it was more than that. I remember, like my mood generally, it increased. So I remember specifically the time that it hit me, and I was putting the kids to bed, and normally bedtime, I dreaded it. I absolutely dreaded bedtime. 8:30 would come, and I would just I'd be close to tears, because I was like, I'd be so tired and in so much pain by the end of the night.
Wow.
That I was like, just go to bed. Yeah. just do it.
Close your eyes.
Everybody just go to bed.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to go to bed.
Right.
And I remember the night that I wasn't super crabby, and I was in a good mood, and they were all in a good mood, and we were having this fun bedtime. And I remember sitting down on my middle son's bed, and we were laughing and having this great time. And then I just started bawling, because it hit me that I suddenly I wasn't the crab ass that I had been for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel bad anymore. And I got hit with this wave of guilt, but like hope all at the same time. Like I felt guilty for the last 5 years, but I had so much hope for the next however many years, because I knew I had finally found something that was changing my life.
Yeah.
And it was just this crazy tornado of emotion that I couldn't explain. Yeah. So I was laughing and crying, and the kids were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, sometimes you cry when you're really happy." Yeah. And I'm trying to explain it away, and they're just like, "Whatever, Mom."
Just keep this going. This has been fun.
Just go to bed.
Yeah.
It was just one of those moments where, you really don't realize how bad off you were until it's better.
Yeah.
And it was, it was partly the pain. And I know it was a combination of things. I know it was the fact that it was helping me with my inflammation, and then it was helping me with so what it does in your gut brain axis is it helps regulate your good and bad bacteria in your gut. And that helps regulate your neurotransmitters, which regulate your mood. And, so it was kind of this whole combination of things, and that's what the products do. And so it was helping me on all these different levels. And, I didn't understand it at the time until I really dove into the science of it. And I was like, yes, oh my God, this makes sense. This is what's happening. And then, from there, I kind of reverse engineered, everything that had happened, so I could see why I was healing. And I could see why all the damage that I had done, and then why I was healing in the way that I was healing. And so it's been just an incredible process and transformation and journey. And, so it's been pretty amazing.
It's, so amazing. What an incredible story. I can't even imagine. I got the flu for the first time in probably 5 years, December. And like you're saying, you just forget how good it feels to be normal when you're sick, just that feeling. I can't imagine what you've gone through. So
I'm grateful every single day that I feel good. Every single day.
I'm so grateful that I've never been through anything like that. Nobody I know really has been through anything like that. And it's so easy how quickly we take for granted our good health and all these different things. Because I'm not sure how you got the meningitis, but it could be, you a mosquito bite, a tick bite like your friend's got, and you got Lyme disease, and your whole world's turned upside down in an instant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why the gut? Tell us a bit. What is this microbiome, and what led you there? What made you start to believe, and what did you find? What can you enlighten us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So it's really, really interesting, this whole aspect of the gut-brain axis, right? So, and so what's really interesting is that, I had heard of it. I knew about kind of this connection between the gut and the brain, but really the most scientific advancements have happened over the last mostly 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And those were during my walking zombie times. And so I missed the boat on it for the most part. And so I had so much catching up to do that I was just like, what? So I have been a crazy person, trying to catch up on all this stuff. In the meantime, I was like, where have I been? But then I realized where I have been.
Yeah.
So.
It's become pretty mainstream in the past 6 to 12 months. Even like Costco now and Walmart and all these places, they're on board with this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there. I mean, this is a real deal because, your gut, so we call your gut your second brain, right? So we got your first brain in your head. We call your gut your second brain. And so by gut, we mean your microbiome, which is like the 100 trillion bacteria, right? That live in there. And then the true lining, like the actual tissue in your gut. I use my hands a lot. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. That's
talking.
Yeah.
I do it on phone calls too. And I'm always like, just so you know, I'm talking with my hands.
That's fine.
So luckily we're being recorded, so it'll all come through. So when we talk about our gut brain axis, we're talking about your gut. And then your first brain, we're talking about in your head, your second brain, your gut, and then this axis in between, which is what communicates between, when we're talking about your nerves and your immune system, your immune cells. And that's what kind of works in between. And those are things that you really want to keep healthy and in balance so that we get good, clear communication between your gut and your brain. So, so what we've learned is that your gut is really a huge regulator of a lot of different systems in the body, and a lot more than people have really given it credit for in the last 20 years.
And I've heard a lot of stuff about that lately too. I heard something, like if you're craving whatever ice cream or something like that, it's your gut telling your brain, like, listen, we want more sugar so we can, ramp up our production of the bad bacteria and stuff in here. And they're asking for these things that you're craving and all kind of crazy things I've heard. And I've really kind of got on board maybe 3-4 years ago with making sure I'm eating probiotic foods and these different types of things and drinks and stuff to try and combat against that and make sure that stays healthy. And what are some of the other things? What are some of the benefits or more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you want to do is make sure that you have the right kinds of bacteria in your gut, so that you can, so that you have the right and the healthiest signaling going on, right? So there's certain strains that do certain things. So you have your good bacteria and your bad bacteria, right? And so what you want to do is create the best environment for those good bacteria. You want to make sure you're getting the good bacteria, and then you want to make sure you have the healthiest environment for that good bacteria to grow and to thrive. And so, it's an important point. And this, every time we talk about probiotics, we want to talk about the fact that, and I think this is a point that gets lost on a lot of people, is that the effect of any probiotic is strain dependent. So you've got, so if you go to the store and you pick out a bottle of probiotics off the shelf, chances are they will not be telling you what strain of probiotic it is. They might tell you the genus or the species, but they might not go down to the strain level. So if you have a problem with constipation and you pick out a random bottle of probiotics, that might be good for diarrhea.
I know where you're going.
Really not going to help you much. So
I've had disaster pants. That's not fun.
Exactly.
And your stomach hurts so bad. Oh my God. That's the worst.
Exactly. So, it's really important that if you are looking for a specific effect of a probiotic, that you know what strain to get, and that you're looking at your product and what strain is in there. So, you have to be really, really careful. So, there are some strains that are really good for helping with stress and anxiety.
Okay.
And those kinds of things, like they decrease your cortisol levels, they increase your GABA transmission, those kinds of things. And then there are GI specific, strains that help specifically with GI issues. Some that are better for constipation, some that are better for helping with diarrhea, those kinds of things. So that's just kind of a general public service announcement when it comes to probiotics, and one that I like to give anytime we start talking about that kind of stuff. So it's really important to create, if you're taking a probiotic, so that's one way you can get the good healthy bacteria. You can also get it by eating the right foods. Yeah. Right. Your sauerkrauts and your, all those
kimchi and stuff. And
and your kefir and your kombucha. And
I love me some kombuchas.
All that stuff. So, and then keeping a good, healthy gut integrity. And so, there are some products that have some good supplements, that have things in it that can help really keep your tissues healthy and that kind of thing. But because there's a lot of people that are walking around with leaky gut, that was one of my major issues that I developed over time, because I had such severe inflammation throughout my entire body that eventually I developed leaky gut. So even though I had started completely, I did all the elimination diets, I did everything, I was eating a completely clean diet, I wasn't absorbing anything. Because what happens is when you start losing your gut integrity, what happens is, so normally your gut cells, and I'm using my hands again. Normally your gut cells should look, they look like this. And I know this because I've looked at plenty of cells under the microscope.
Yeah, if anybody knows, it's you.
They weren't gut cells, but the cells I was looking, the vascular cells, they look the same. They look like this under the microscope. So when they are healthy and they are next to each other, they have what are called tight junctions.
Okay.
You want them
so for those on the podcast, she's got her fingers interlaced very tightly together.
I apologize for those who can't.
No problem.
But they're very tightly laced together, right? Okay. And when that gut integrity becomes compromised, the cells start moving farther away from each other. They get damaged. And so you get these spaces in between the cells. And so you get food particles and other things that can start coming right through in between, right? And so they end up going into the systemic circulation. What happens then is you get immune responses, you get inflammation that can lead to brain fog. It can lead to a whole bunch of different issues, but a lot of, autoimmune stuff. So it's really important,
yes,
that we keep that immune, the gut integrity, in good shape. You keep your inflammation under control. All of these different things.
Yeah, when I first learned about that, that's scary to learn about. I mean, literally shit leaking into your body like that, and it's just running just rampant through your body, and like you're saying, your body starts attacking. It's like, what is this? Corn doesn't belong in my stomach, like outside of the body. Like what's going on here? And there's feces and stuff roaming around through your blood and your organs, and that's scary stuff. Yeah, that's when I started taking that seriously. I was like, wait a second here, I got to figure this out.
Yeah, it can be pretty serious. So a lot of times they'll say, if you have a food allergy test and you're coming back positive on lots of different things, that's why, you should look into leaky gut issues. But, there's a lot of different reasons you should.
There's a lot of stuff that goes down into that. Yeah, definitely. I know we talked about some of the good things. What are some of the things maybe that we should be avoiding as well? Is there anything that?
Absolutely. There's a lot of things to avoid.
I'm sure there is.
Generally what I recommend to people is just, try your best to stay away from processed stuff. I mean, nobody's perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm like the pretzel queen. I love pretzels. It's my vice. Yes. I can't help it. It's my thing.
Ice cream. I can't stop myself.
I love pretzels. Yeah. But, you try your best. Everything is about balance, right? Nobody is perfect. Do your best. Try to avoid as much processed food as possible. Try to stick with as much, stick with organic stuff. At least, stick with the clean 15.
Right.
And, stay away from the dirty dozen.
Yeah.
And, just, generally, we say kind of the Mediterranean diet is a really good one. If you're looking for something to kind of follow, I hate fad diets. I think I absolutely I detest them. And so I think they're just really impossible, not impossible, but they're really hard to maintain. And I think it's all about just incorporating good habits into your life. And just repetition creates habit, and and after a while it just becomes part of your life, and it's not easy at first. Because back in the day I didn't understand the power of food and what it could do for my life. And I ate noodles every night for dinner. No lie. That's what I ate.
In college, a couple noodles. That's just...
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And, I had no idea what, why that might be bad for me. I was like, well, this is what I do. So, but over time you start making these small changes and you get better. And it was the same way. I think as you get older and you grow and you go through different things, it was the same thing when I started healing. I had never been, I never meditated. I never got into any of that kind of the spiritual side of things. When I started physically healing, it kind of brought out a lot of different things in me. And I started becoming a lot more open to different things and trying new things. And, mindfulness became really important to me as part of, I realized that I had never had that balance in my life. I always worked a lot and I exercised and, and I did everything else, I was a mom, I worked and I exercised and, and that was not balance. That was driving myself into the ground,
Yes.
And I recognized that and I realized I needed to grow in these other aspects of my life. And so it's really hard when you first start. It's really hard. You have to really dedicate yourself to making those changes. And, but once you do it and you realize how much, how much it adds to your life. I think you realize how much you're growing from it and how much, how worth it is. And then it becomes habit, and it just becomes part of your life. And then it's your lifestyle. And it's not effort anymore.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. A good thought there. The best diet is the one you can follow. The one you can keep to, the one you can stick to. And like you were saying, I maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started down that road, and it took time. I took stuff out of my diet, and now I don't. Most things I don't even care for. I can't believe I used to eat that stuff before, and now I'm like, oh my God, like.
Yeah.
But it's not just, and you feel better, you function better, you sleep better. Things taste better. It's like, just switching from margarine or whatever to like a nice, good, like butter. Oh my God, everything just tastes so much better. The flavors of foods and it's good for you. And
your tastes
like a night of difference.
Yeah. Your tastes definitely change. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I like to watch, like watch my kids and see how their tastes change. Cause I know how mine have changed, but I like to see it in other people and see, you know, it was definitely a longer process with them, getting them to, you know, like, come on, you guys, you know, but now they're like, you know, okay. That used to be like, how many chickpeas do I have to eat, Mom? You know, I'm like, can I just have 3? And now they're like, all right, I'll eat. And like, just eat all the ones that I put on your plate. Fine. You know, like now I just load them on and there's, you know, like, you know, and I love that I can look at their plates and see, you know, 75% of the plate is vegetables.
That's amazing.
You know, versus, you know, and I think back to what we used to eat, you know, which was like carb central, you know,
like SpaghettiOs with bread and all. Yeah.
Oh, everything, you know, it was like carbs with a side of carbs and like a little sprinkle of vegetables, you know,
put the carbs on top of the carbs and then that with cheese.
And dairy. Dairy. Oh,
yeah. Some people it bothers. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dairy doesn't, me and dairy don't do well, but we're working on it.
Yeah, that's tough. You know, and that's the thing I hear from a lot of my friends and different people is, you know, is the kids aspect, you know, like especially when the first things they know are chicken nuggets and French fries and, you know, Lunchables and all these things. And then all of a sudden you're like, listen, sorry, we're not doing that anymore. Here's some broccoli or whatever. And it's just like, that's just gotta be tough. I know when my son was, maybe he was 2 or so, he's always just, I mean, I kind of knew better when he was born, thank God. But I mean, we'd be in the store and he'd get, you know, a container of blueberries and he'd whack the whole entire thing before we left the store. He'd be, Dad, can we go get some tomatoes, please? And other parents would be like, look at me like, you're such a horrible parent. And I'm like, like, get the kid a Snickers bar. And I'm like,
right.
What? Like, do you understand like how crazy you sound?
Right.
But I was the bad person. Like, I can't believe he's sitting there eating a bucket of tomatoes. Like, what a horrible person you are. And I'm just like,
yeah, that's not right.
Like, listen, just because your kid eats Hot Pockets doesn't mean mine should. Like,
Hot Pockets. Oh.
I think my son was 7 before he ever had a Hot Pocket. We were in Costco or Sam's Club one day. He's like, Dad, what is that? I was like, you know what? Let's have some. Let's have fun. Let's have some, you know? And he was like, these are not bad. I wouldn't want to eat them all the time, but all right, Dad, I see, you know, but I was lucky that I raised him, you know, on vegetables and fruits. And that was, you know, the stuff to eat. And half my cart would be empty before we got out of the store. And I'd be paying for empty things.
Right. I mean, like I said, it's all about balance. I don't deprive them. They eat pizza and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll never be like I don't want to say I'm a crazy mom, but I definitely sprinkle hemp seeds on their pizza when they eat it. But
yeah.
So I'm a little crazy. I'm that mom, but you know, I'm you know, I don't want them to grow up feeling like I completely deprive them of like all good things.
Yeah,
you know, whatever.
We do a cheat day on Saturday and we just go to town and we have a good time. And you know, I think it helps instead of this little kind of pecking throughout the week and always a cupcake or something here or whatever there.
No.
Saturday, guys.
I let them have treats on the weekend.
Yeah. It's like Saturday, go to town, have all the ice cream until you barf all over the floor. And you know what I noticed is they just don't want it anymore. Right.
Well, because their tastes change, right? Yeah, so if they're really consistent and you're consistent with them, like it's funny because my kids will come home and they'll be like, because they don't get treats, you know, because they know they only get treats on the weekend, right? And there will be kids at school that get treats in their lunch every single day. And they'll come home and they'll be like, Mom, kids at school get treats every day at lunch. And do you know what? It's the first thing they eat.
Yeah.
That's so wrong.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even if you get a treat at lunch, it should be the last thing. You should always eat the healthiest thing first. I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
Trained you so well.
Win for mom. Yeah. That's my son does the same thing. He's like, Dad, you wouldn't believe these kids have cupcakes at lunch and they trade for puddings. He's like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like we talked about so many things, so many problems with all of that. And, you know, that's the thing.
Most of it is just education, you know, I mean, the kids, like I said, I say this like 10 times a day. And like, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And, the kids are learning what they're learning from home. And if the parents don't know,
yeah,
it's tough. And I think that's one thing that I love about doing what I do is that I get to be out and talking to people and helping them learn, and educating and, cause I want people to feel good.
Right.
I want them to feel better and everybody can feel better.
Yeah. Right. And it's hard to, I don't know how many times I've argued with people about, you really should be maybe eating this or that. And like, well, I was watching the news and they said this and Dr. Oz told me to eat that. And it's like, this is our base of knowledge. It's like Twitter and Instagram is necessarily the best place to get, dietary advice or, sponsored. I know one time I was watching Dr. Oz or whatever, and he's talking about this stuff. And then immediately after there's a commercial for, I can't believe it's not butter. I'm like,
yeah.
how like this show is sponsored. I'm like, how can you're saying one thing on the episode and then your sponsor is telling everybody exactly the opposite of what you just said. Yeah. And I'm sure you don't even believe it because it's just a segment you're told to do, but this is like the advice. Like I don't know how many conversations / arguments with people. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck told you that, but that's wrong. That's stupid. Well, I saw it in the thing and it's like, watch like a week's worth of whatever, doctor show, whatever this stuff, and watch how much time they contradict each other throughout just a week. It's like, but this is unfortunately the information that's just thrown at us. And if you're not hunting for and you're not looking for that, something's wrong, or if you're not sick like you, if you never got that sickness and illness, you probably would have never discovered this stuff.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. That's why I always say, I'll tell people my story and they'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. Thank God, right?
Not. Thank God this happened to me. I would not have traded it for the world. Mm-hmm. This has led me to the place that I am, which has been on the most amazing journey. Did it suck at the time? Oh, hell yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it did. I will not deny that. But I have been on the most amazing journey. And it has taken me to the most amazing place. And I never would have gotten here had I not gotten sick.
Yeah.
It was absolutely the biggest blessing in disguise. And I absolutely 100% stand by that. There's no question in my mind.
And I've heard that same sentiment from so many people with, with this cancer or something like yours, near-death experiences, or these brings from death, and come back and like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Absolutely.
And on the outside, you're like, well, I wouldn't want that to happen, but the eye-opening, the preciousness of life and all these things that come about and the things you've learned, and now your children will be healthier and live longer, fuller lives because of this journey you went through. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind. Yeah. So, we keep talking about you being a mom and being a busy mom. How do you prioritize time for yourself? I make sure that I have to be kind to myself. Yeah. Which does not come easy. That's for sure. That has never come easy. But I definitely have gotten better. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure that I exercise, mm-hmm. but that I am not hard on myself if I don't do it in the way that I plan on it. If I miss a day here or there, and making sure that I do things that I know are going to be good for my mind. Mm-hmm. Making sure I stay consistent with my meditation, mm-hmm. That I don't overdo it with work, because I tend to be just my personality, which is what got me in trouble in the first place. Yeah. I'm kind of an all or nothing person. Like, I'm all in. Like, if I'm into something, I am all in, and that is all I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I have to really be very conscious about taking a step back and doing what's right for my health and my mindfulness. So yeah, it's very important for me to,
be aware, to be self-aware, I guess to really stay on top of my self-awareness and to know where I'm, to do self-checks, and making sure that I'm, staying on top of my meditation and being kind to my body, which again, it ties into all of that.
Yeah.
Making sure I'm eating well and getting enough sleep and doing all these things that are going to keep my stress levels down. And, so that I don't end up getting sick again. And, I have good motivation to do that. So
what type of meditation do you do, if you don't mind asking?
I do a couple different kinds. So I do take some like, mindful movement and meditation classes at the gym that I go to, which I love. And then I just do some of my own meditation, just
like a mantra-based meditation, a mindfulness, like what type of?
Yeah, just mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah. I mean, I've done some mantra, but
okay.
Mostly just mindfulness.
Awesome. Yeah. I've gotten to mindfulness meditation maybe about a year and a half now. Oh, it's amazing. I recommend everybody, trying it out. There's lots of great apps. My favorite is Waking Up by Sam Harris. There's other things, Calm, and some other things out there. Check it out, guys. It really is a game changer. I think it's one of those hidden kind of things that are starting to kind of come out into the popular kind of thing now. And I
like to listen to. There's this one music clip on YouTube that's my favorite, and it's letting go of negative energy. And then there's also, I have another favorite, and this is for when I can't sit in a quiet place and close my eyes. So I do this a lot when I'm driving, and it's for more when I'm like really worked up about something, and I just have to I'm kind of a sweary mom. So this is for all you sweary people out there. It's called Fuck It, Let That Shit Go. So
I love it already.
It's amazing because it sounds like it would just be a joke.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's amazing. I love it. And I listen to it on repeat because it's like 10 minutes long. And if I'm like really worked up about something, I have to sometimes I'll have meetings that are like an hour away. So I seriously will put on repeat. I listen to like 4 times. And it's amazing because by the end, I'm just like, yeah, fuck it.
Right?
Let shit go. And I feel so much better at the end of it. And sometimes you need that, you need that balance because if you can't, if I can't sit and get into a really deep place, obviously when you're driving,
don't close your eyes, people.
Right. It's a really different kind of meditation.
Yeah.
But it really, really works and I love it. And I tell everybody about it. So, check it out.
As soon as we're done, you have me at the title.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It really is. I love it. I send it to everybody. So.
And I will link that in the show notes for people. Fuck it. Check it out. I mean, we'll get that and I'll get that from you and we'll link that in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah. It's really great.
I love it.
That's just awesome. I didn't see this podcast going there, but
I don't care. I like to keep it real.
I did promise my friend Melissa I wasn't going to swear, but I'm sorry. I had to.
I don't care.
It's just my personality. I'm so sorry.
I swear all the time.
It's just who I am.
I love it. I like to keep it raw. There's no fluff. There's no filters. Best we can here. That's
awesome. I love it.
What does a typical morning look like for you? That first 60 to 90 minutes, what are the habits or routines you do every day if you can?
Well, it depends. So, I'm divorced. So if I have my kids, then it's just pure, shit show. No, just kidding.
Hey, whatever works.
I got swearing on it. It's a lot of chaos. So, I try to get up before them, but I have one that wakes up pretty early. So it could be 5:00 when he comes. But if I get up before them, I try to, I try to get a jump on emails and getting back to people if I can. Otherwise it's kind of chaos until I get them to school. So that's my first 60 minutes.
Once the whirlwind is over in the morning, is there something that really gets you into your day, that maybe the must-do thing?
My must-do thing is having my smoothie. So my smoothie is like, that's what starts my morning. Okay. If I don't have it, I kind of feel like something's off and missing. Yeah. So it's I have a smoothie that is avocado and banana and frozen organic fruit and protein powder, vegan protein powder, and then my supplements. So
what's your favorite protein powder? What is the one you like?
I use the stuff that my the company that I work for makes. Okay. So it's the Amare.
Okay. Can I link to that? Is that possible for people who want to check it out? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the
all right.
Amare vanilla.
Okay.
So I put that in there along with this. We have a seed fiber and a superfood greens stuff. So I put all that in there.
Yeah.
And mix it up, and then and my chia seeds. Then I feel ready for my day. So. Okay.
That's like your coffee.
So I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
And, that's what gets me energized for my morning.
Nice.
But if I don't have my kids, then I get up at like 5:30 and I hit the gym and then come home and, get ready and have my smoothie and
get into your day.
Get into my day. Yeah. So.
What books or books have helped you the most on your journey throughout this whole process here?
Oh goodness. Well, I have to think. Let me look at my little list right now. It's not cooperating. So the mind-gut connection.
Okay.
Was huge for me getting started.
Who's that
by Emran Meyer.
Okay.
I can send you that link.
Sure.
And then I'm just looking. Did I just finish? The Untethered Soul. That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good. I loved that a lot. Yeah, those two were really, so one was more like obviously educational about like the mind gut stuff. And then one, The Untethered Soul, was more about, the emotional, mental component. I think those were probably the two most influential for me.
Yeah, that's very important. A lot of us, we push that stuff under and we let it go and we try to just bury it and hope it figures itself out, and it doesn't.
I was a stuffer, for sure, for so many years. And it wasn't until I healed physically that stuff started bubbling out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you're fighting for your life, that's the last thing you're thinking about is your emotions.
There's no way I didn't have the physical or emotional energy to be able to deal with a lot of the a lot of the stuff I was stuffing.
Yeah. Just keep stuffing down eventually. Yeah.
Keep stuffing.
Yes.
But it comes out eventually.
Yes. Yeah. Especially as you get to a more prosperous place in life, and those things that, when you can start to focus on, prosperity and living instead of surviving, then's when these things start to come out in.
Exactly.
Where's the where's the best place for people to get in touch with you, learn more about you, connect with you?
Yeah. So I just started a new Facebook page, so they can connect with me there or on Instagram.
Okay.
Otherwise, or email, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay.
All of those things. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll link to all those for you guys.
Yeah. LinkedIn, I'm on all the time. So
perfect.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'll link to all of those things for you folks. You guys can get in touch. You want to learn more, ask questions, connect in whatever way you want. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about yet here today?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. And then, so the last thing here before we wrap up is on the Social Community Show, we like to have a weekly challenge, something to, maybe from this episode or maybe not, maybe on this topic, to challenge people to take into the week and give it a shot. I would like to present you with the opportunity to give this week's challenge.
This week's challenge. All right. I challenge people to swap out one unhealthy food habit with a healthier option this week.
What will be a good example?
So I would say try to cut out one processed item and replace it with something healthier.
Okay.
So whether that's cutting out, a soda and replacing it with a bottle of water, or if it's replacing that bag of chips that you have every day at 11 before lunch, between lunch and breakfast or whatever, and replacing it with an apple, something like that.
Okay.
So try replacing one habit with a new habit, because habits don't go away. You just replace them with different habits.
Absolutely.
So remember that. Habits you don't quit habits. You just replace them with different habits. So replace a bad habit with a healthier habit.
Perfect. Great challenge, people. Get out there, do this, take steps to have a healthier, happier, more prosperous life. Kelly, thank you absolutely so much for being on here. I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing it. It was inspirational to me. It just helps me appreciate even more the health of myself and my children and my family. Thank you for sharing everything you're doing. It's so great and wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
All right. Like I said, people, we'll link to everything in the show notes, and you guys can get a hold of Kelly and what she's up to and the different things on there. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Wow, I hope you guys enjoyed that amazing interview with Kelly. I learned a lot. What a great, inspiring story. Hey, if you guys are experiencing similar things, you can relate to some of the things that she's talking about. You have a friend or family member that is experiencing something like that, reach out to Kelly. See if maybe her experience can help you and or your friend or family member. It's amazing the advances and things in medicine is happening. These simple things that we never thought of. We never would have believed them. They didn't seem like real science, and now are really coming to the forefront. These gut biome stuff, this microbiome and things. It's really huge things. Really, it controls so much. It has so much influence on us and how we feel and things. And I know from personal experience, when you start to clean these things up, the ability to think, to have more energy, to not feel tired and those lulls and stuff, it really does make a big difference. And as well, for this month's giveaway, we've partnered up with Kelly and what she's doing to give away some of these supplements. We call it the little spring cleanse. If you're interested in learning more about what products we have to offer, more about the giveaway, you want to enter it in to win this month's giveaway. We're giving 5 winners. So this is going to be great for you guys to help give your body the spring cleaning it needs as well, and get you guys going for this next, quarter one of the year is over. We got 3 more to go. You've got things you want to do and you're not feeling well, or you're constantly tired and these things. There's an opportunity for you to get some stuff to help catapult you to where you want to be. Head over to the socialchameleon.show/pickme, get into this month's giveaway, learn more about these things that really are making a profound difference, not on just Kelly's life, but hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people. And if you think this information is something for your friends and family to benefit from, please share it with them. The best way to support the show is to share it. Leaving likes and reviews on your favorite podcast app, YouTube, and all those different things really does help us get more amazing guests like Kelly. In between shows, you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all your favorite social media apps, as well as subscribing to the YouTube for the video version, as well as your favorite podcast app. For links to everything we've talked about here today, you can visit the socialcommunity.show and everything from past episodes. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and transforming into the person you want to become.